just chatting screen. I made my big camera little and my little camera really big. We swapped it for this because I have this package on my desk, this thingy. You guys can see here, it says AYN on the side. AYN. I don't really know what that means. I think that's the name of the company. And this, the gaming PC handle. This is my first gaming PC ever. I was looking for a Steam Deck, but I'm poor. So I found something that actually costs less than a Steam Deck, used, right? Used, I was looking at Steam Decks for about $250, plus shipping and handling and tax and all that stuff. About $250, maybe like $230 on the low end. This was $200 plus shipping. This cost me like $220. I think that's a great deal, especially for what you get. The packaging is really cool. Like, I like this. And then you get the box. It shows you the two different kinds of AYN products, right? They have the black one and the white one on the side. It just kind of shows you what it was, right? I guess I could show it here too. Bigger. I wish it would zoom in. It shows you if it's the Zero, the Mini Pro, the Loki, or the Max. And then it shows you how much RAM it has, whether it's 8, 16, 4, and then storage and color. So as you guys can see here, we have a Mini Pro with 8 gigs of RAM. They don't make it with 16, unfortunately. 128 gigs of internal storage, and it's black. And then so you just open it up like this. Wish I could show it a little closer. There we go. Open it up like this, right? And then in here, I already put one on, but there's like a screen protector in this thingy. Is it refurbished, or did you get it on eBay? I got it off a Japanese commerce website, basically eBay. Little screen protector in here. I could show you guys, but I don't want to damage it. Okay. Like, I want to keep them both nice. So I have two. I already put the other one on. This is a fake unboxing, chat. I've already used it. I've already set it up, mostly. And then it also has all of, like, the features. Like, how you use it in controller mode, how you use it in keyboard and mouse mode, how to swap between keyboard and mouse mode and controller mode. I think that's very cool. So I can't really lose that. I kind of need to keep... I'm actually going to keep the box. It's a pretty nice box. And then, of course, last but not least, the device itself. It's decently sized, right? It's like bigger than a Nintendo Switch, but not as big as a Steam Deck. It's like slightly smaller than even an Asus ROG Ally, right? Or it's definitely smaller than the Lenovo Legion Go. I'm trying to figure out what to compare it to, and I think the best thing to compare it to is like a Nintendo Switch. It's slightly bigger than a Nintendo Switch. As a matter of fact, it's so much narrowly bigger than a Nintendo Switch, while being wider that I have this Nintendo Switch full-size case because, I mean, it also fits the Nintendo Switch Lite, and I have a Nintendo Switch Lite. I guess I can grab that for a size comparison here in a second. But this actually fits in here. This is the case I'm currently using for the Loki. Right, if you push it all the way down, it fits. Fits in here, no problem. See? Side of it. And this is a Nintendo Switch case, so if it fits inside of a Nintendo Switch case, it means it's about the size, if not slightly bigger and thicker than a Nintendo Switch. Something to think about, right? Let me grab the Nintendo Switch Lite, which I guess I should have had on hand for this comparison. So give me 1 second. I don't really use my Nintendo Switch Lite. To preface this, I have Star Wars Hunters on it, Fortnite, Scott Pilgrim vs. the World, Burnout Paradise Remastered, and Cat Quest, which I also have on PC. That's like all I have, right? I was going to use it as a little indie machine, and then I realized I could just pick up all my indie games on Steam, right? So here it is. The Switch Lite. Pretty good condition because, like I said, I don't use it that much. I used it a decent amount, mainly to like play Fortnite when I was out and about. But if you look at it in comparison, you now compare these two. I'm butting them up side by side. It's a little bit bigger, just a wee bit bigger. And then thickness-wise, oh, it's a chunky boy. It's very, very chunky. And I think that makes it more ergonomic. And like, I think the Switch Lite feels better than the regular Nintendo Switch, to be fair. But I think they're both kind of too small. at least as an adult, right? I've had tons of handhelds, right? I had the Game Boy Color when I was a kid, the Game Boy Advance, Game Boy Advance SP, Nintendo DS, DSi, DS Lite. What's the difference in screen size alone? I think it's 5.5 to 6. But that's 5.5 with a big ass bezel on the Nintendo Switch. I think it's a 5-inch screen, like a big ass bezel, and this is a 6-inch screen. Specs wise, also there's a little difference, but I've had almost every gaming handheld, at least all of the commercial ones, right? I've had all the older ones that existed, the Nintendo DS, DS Lite, 3DS. The only one I had never tried was a PC gaming handheld, and I wanted to get into the market very, very lightly to find out if I really like it, because if I do, which I think I do, spoilers, I'll probably end up picking up a bigger handheld eventually, or one of the more known handhelds eventually, because I think that all of them have their own like software upsides and downs, software upsides and downsides, and this one, I think the Loki Command Center is really cool, but it has some problems that we'll get into. But the first thing I want to talk about is the specs. This has let's turn it on, actually. There we go. So this has a Ryzen 3 7320U. And now that sounds really cool when you think about the fact that it's a Ryzen 3 7000, but it's kind of weird. The way it works is it's actually a Zen 2 4-core 8-thread processor, logging me in already. 4-core Zen 2 4-core 8-thread processor with new Radeon graphics. So it has the lowest end Radeon 600 series graphics. We're not even on the 700 series with this. We have the 610M, which is very weak. It's not very strong. So as you see, I already have like a cool little gamer background, but it immediately boots into Steam. I have it set to boot into Steam Big Picture, and I'll just add games that I want to play on the other end in, right? There's also, of course, the Loki Command Center, which you press and it comes up on the side, lets you change the RGB and stuff, which I can do real quick. Lets you change the RGB, look, I can change it to blue, change it to purple, change it back to like a blue, green, red, yellow, whatever. Well, I like green, so I'm gonna stick it on green, right? You can also change the brightness, make it really dim, kind of hard to see, very bright, really cool. You can also, in here, change your TDP. I have it set to 10 watts right now. You can go all the way up to 20. Boom, you can blast that shit. Give it as much power as it needs. You can also turn on CPU boost and GPU auto overclock, which I don't have on right now. I have those both off. On the other side, of course, if you press this button while you're in Big Picture, it will boot up your Steam Big Picture menu, and it'll feel really similar to a Steam Deck. So now from here, I can navigate to all the things that I would do on a Steam Deck. I can navigate to libraries, store, friends and chat, media, download, settings, etc. And then I also just have the Big Picture / Steam Deck front end, as you guys see here, which I think is really cool. I am mostly going to be playing lightweight games on this because it has issues with bigger games. This thing only has 8 gigs of RAM. I think that the 610M, if it didn't have only 8 gigs of RAM on board with this device, say you had the 610M that's inside of all of the basic desktop Ryzen processors, like the 7600X, the 7700X, 7800X, X3D, blah, blah, blah. All of those chips also have the 610M on board. That's like that's their version of the UHD graphics. So I basically have Ryzen's UHD graphics, Intel the UHD. And it's not terrible, but only 8 gigs of RAM really bottlenecks you with certain titles, right? For a while, I had big shader stutters that I had to solve with Gunfire Reborn. And I had to go into the settings and actually turn off things. I had to go into the task manager, which isn't actually that hard to do with this device. You just hold these 2 buttons together, and boom, it pulls up the task manager, which is really cool. And then if you hold just, like say you need to exit a thing, touchscreen, as you guys can see. If you need to exit something, then you just hold this, and it'll take you straight back to the desktop with the back button. Boom, now I'm back on the desktop. I don't have desktop icons on. So I want to make this a very streamlined experience. If I need to get to the internet, I'll just press the button. If I need to get to file manager, I'll press the button, right? So now, here's the internet. It's all booted up, just like the normal internet I would use on my computer. This is a miniature PC. For all intents and purposes, I could unplug my USB hub that I'm using right now on my laptop to record this, to stream this, and plug it into this, and it will boot up a picture to this monitor right here. And it will also power this keyboard and mouse, and there's power delivery on that hub. I can do everything that I would do. Now, I guess I'll just like boot up a simple game. I'll boot up something small like Horizon Chase Turbo, which I really like. This game's pretty cool. I need to pick up the second one. And as you see, it does all the same things that the Steam Deck will do. Maybe I turn down the brightness. This is so bright. Unfortunately, I don't know why I can't turn down the brightness from the Loki control center. I'm supposed to be able to, so now we need to go back to the desktop and do it from here, I guess. If I knew how to get to it from here. I'm supposed to be able to turn down the brightness, but it's not working. It's in the Loki control center, or it was before, but now it's just not there. So, but as you see, like, if you know how to navigate things on PC, it's really not that hard. I just turned down the brightness. Now the screen's gonna be easier for you guys to see. And the only reason I'm turning down the brightness is for you guys, so it's not blaring really loud. Let me go ahead and move this out of the way. It does have an SD card slot. I have a 128 gigabyte SSD in SD card and a 128 gigabyte SSD in this right here. So I have a 256 gigabyte full storage solution. It has a microphone, the slot for the charging and for power delivery, and display out is at the bottom. This handles all of that. You can plug it up to a USB-C dock or hub. There's the slot for the SSD or the SD card. It has this cool, like, there's the vent that takes in air, and it also has right there, if you guys can see, the cool, like, Loki logo or like AYN logo. I'm not sure what the logo is, but it looks like a helmet. That's cool. And then at the top is exhaust. This is exhaust fan. Also, this is the power button, and here is the volume. So I'm gonna blast this and hope my microphone catches it. I guess my microphone doesn't catch it. I'd have to have it really close for it to notice it. But the sound actually gets kind of loud. I can hear it through my headset. It could be Loki's helmet. That's what I'm thinking too, right? It looks like some sort of a Loki logo. Yeah, like that looks cool. But so if I'm not talking, you guys can't hear it because I have crazy microphone settings so you guys don't hear background noise. But right now, I'm sure you guys can hear the music of the game blaring, which is cool. I'll go ahead and turn that back down. And then we'll just like play through a track or something. I'm gonna turn it down big time. I usually don't have it too loud. The controls on this thing are actually immaculate. They feel really good. One thing about a lot of PC gaming handhelds that are smaller is they really skimp on controls. I was looking at something like the Ambernic Win 600, which is a slightly, maybe slightly less powerful version of this, but it has the propensity to have 32 gigabytes of RAM because it has user upgradable RAM. This doesn't. You are stuck with 8 gigs on board unless you know how to actually desolder RAM on a motherboard and then resolder the new RAM. Then instead of having the two, I think there's 4 2 gigabyte chiplets, instead you would put on 4 4 gigabyte chiplets or 4 8 gigabyte chiplets, and then you would have 32 or 16 as it were, right? We don't know how to do that, and I'd have to find somebody to pay to do that. So instead, we're just gonna rock it out with the 8 for now. There's no reason not to. Screw it. But this thing has a 60 Hz refresh rate, really nice screen, not what's it called? I forgot what it's called. Not variable refresh rate, but it feels really good in the hands. The controls are really tight, really nice D-pad, and the analog sticks are almost full size. Unlike something like the AYN, the AYN Odin, which is their like smaller device, and it's an Android-based device, and the Ambernic Win 600. Which was the other cheapest PC gaming handheld I could find. Also plays this game just fine, right? So in here, we're at 10 watts. We have the CPU boost off. We'll turn on the auto overclock for the GPU. I'll hit later. I guess I should have done that before I started gaming. Uh-oh, I hope it doesn't crash. Haha, that'd be really funny. You can also, system-wide, change the refresh rate and the screen, right? You can have it at 60 hertz, 40 hertz, and 50 hertz, all the way down to 480p, up to 1080. I have the screen set to 720p because it's not a super big screen, so 720p works out just fine for me. I can see it just fine, and I hope you guys can too. Because what we're going to do now is we're actually going to play through a track of Horizon Chase Turbo with you guys, if you guys are down for that. Let's go ahead and knock this race out. You guys ready? Hopefully we win. It's gonna be real bad if we're playing this and we can't win on camera. Oh no. I really like this game. It's super fun, very lightweight. This is the kind of games that I was looking for to be able to play on something really small, right? Like, so I could have gotten a Steam Deck, I could have gotten a ROG Ally X, but for the games that I'm looking to play right now, which are all pretty small and lightweight, I didn't think I needed something that heavy. right? If I ever want to play bigger games, maybe I'll get a bigger and wider and like stronger device, but I don't think that's necessary for what I'm looking for right now. And I think if you're also looking for like a small, portable, lightweight indie machine that fits in a like normal Nintendo Switch case, that's a genius idea. I think this is probably your best bet. Something like this, if you can find it. That's the issue is, well, this device is really hard to find. I got it on the secondhand market. I didn't get it brand new from the company because they no longer sell it on their website. If I go to the AYN website, they're not selling this device anymore. It's just kind of gone. Like they don't want to, like they don't want to support it anymore. Are you driving upside down? I'm sorry, I'm not rotating my screen. Suck a dick. I'm not rotating my screen, but you guys can see it just fine, right? This music actually kind of fits, you know, listening to, you know, hard rock while playing a racing game. That's pretty good. What I will say is you did mention that it's upside down, and I want to talk about that after this race here in a second. I think I'm done. I think I won. As long as I don't hit anything. Yeah, because that guy's like right behind me. There we go. So we won. We got first. Woohoo! Now you guys can see it. Sorry, my bad, chat, that I wasn't showing you guys the screen the right way. Oopsies. Oopsies. And just like Steam Big Picture Mode, you can press that button right there, and it'll let you exit the game. All right, so I'll just exit the game for now. The way this... And then we'll go back to Steam. The way this device... I can't tell what's going on? Yes, you can. So, the cool thing about a device like this is it's a nice, small, portable little indie machine. I have like a bunch of lightweight games on it. As you see, I have Gunfire Reborn, which I have tested and played, and it works pretty well. Just had some big shader stutters that I had to get all solved. Plays at 60 FPS, pretty consistent on like low settings with high anti-aliasing, which is cool. I have Islet, Cat Quest 1 and 2, Pocket Bravery, and then I have a bunch of like small, really lightweight stuff, right? So we've got Castaway, got Lost Castle 2, which is like a really lightweight roguelike, and then we've got some pixel art games. And these are the things you're going to play on something like this, and it is indeed touchscreen. Good question. Yes, it is touchscreen. You can do anything you can do with a touchscreen with this. Correct. Right, so if I want to go to my profile, I can just hit the little thing, and boom, now it boots up my Steam profile. Hopefully I'm not showing anything I shouldn't be showing you guys. Right? If you can't find this device, it is very unfortunate because I think for a smaller and lightweight portable machine, it's really cool. It does have one downside that these buttons down the back are not remappable. These are actually just L3 and R3 and cannot be changed. You just have to leave them as is. But this device is very, very ergonomic. And it's basically just a Windows tablet. I'm going back to the home screen. It's basically just a Windows tablet rotated. And the reason why I say that is because when I go here, it has rotation lock on. But if I turn this sideways... Now it rotates. Apologies. Now it rotated. You see that? So now it's this way. And if I put it upside down, it will now rotate again. So the issue I thought I was going to have with this device was I assumed if I can change it back to normal and then turn off rotation lock. There we go. The issue I thought I was going to have with this device is that I assumed I would not be able to dock it with the traditional dock, like the ones made for the ROG Ally, the Legion Go, and the Steam Deck. But because this device has screen rotation, because it's basically a Windows tablet, you can dock it upside down, like this. And then just plug in at the top, and the screen, if you turn off rotation lock, the screen will just rotate. Very cool. Nice, you could use it as a chat dock if you wanted to connect a monitor to your setup and just scroll over your chat. Yeah, you could do that. You could use this as a little secondary PC to just run your stream with like just a streaming PC. It is also a nice little portable gaming handheld. Like I said, I think the coolest thing about this is actually the battery life. I don't know what the wattage on the battery is, but I used it most of the day yesterday while I was at work, during my lunch and during breaks. I get 2 15-minute breaks and an hour lunch, and I used it for a lot of that. And then I also used it after around like 4 p.m. when we were cleaning. We cleaned at my job for the last hour, and I cleaned really fast. So I cleaned in like 15, 20 minutes, so I could game on this for another 40 minutes. So I got about 2 hours, 2.5 hours of lightweight games like Castle Crashers, Cat Bait, Gunfire Reborn, and Cat Quest, and I still had battery left. I still had about 40% battery left. So with lightweight games, this thing gets at least 6 hours, it seems like, which I think is really cool. Right, that's almost Steam Deck. That's like Steam Deck OLED levels of battery on lighter weight games. And that's because I was using a really high TDP as well, right? This thing goes all the way down. This thing goes all the way down to something like 4 watts, which a lot of games will run just fine. It will run it completely smooth at, and there will be no issue. But it also goes all the way up to 20 watts. I had it at 12. So I was pretty high up there. I was playing some Gunfire Reborn. I wanted to make sure I was getting that nice, juicy, delicious power. So I was using 12 watts. But if I played something like Catbait, on the other hand, I could bump that wattage all the way down to 4. And then start up Catbait, and it will run just fine, just smooth, at an amazing 60 FPS. I know some of you maybe don't consider 60 FPS amazing by any stretch, but I think for a lot of these lightweight and indie games, something like 60 hertz feels fine. So we'll just do the first little bit of a Catbait. I hope I get I'm trying to get Mechanic. Okay, I'll take Templar. Sure, we'll just do a little bit, right? You guys can see the screen. It's pretty small, and it's a little fuzzy for you guys, probably, right? So what we can do to solve that is when we're playing these lighter weight games that don't require as much power, we can bring this up and go to 1080p, and it will change that screen resolution on the fly to 1080p, and then we can unpause our game and keep playing. Look at that. It's a little blurry for you guys. I don't know why it's so blurry. I don't know why it doesn't want to show the screen clearly. Maybe it's because I'm holding it, so that makes it really hard for my camera to read it. But I promise you, it does not look this blurry. I wish I could, prove it, but it looks good. It might be because it's in motion. It looks good, I promise. Just trust me, okay? Source, because I said so. Anyways, let me turn this off before I get into a full run and don't stop, because I fucking love Catbait, and that will happen. I'll do that. I've done it before. Those are my first impressions, thoughts of this thing. I think the one thing that I don't like about this device in comparison to something like a Steam Deck is Windows still exists on it, right? And Windows uses up a lot of resources. If you want a resourceless or a close to resourceless experience for Windows, you probably have to download Windows 10 Atlas, which I do not recommend using if you are putting sensitive material on your device. Anything you don't want to lose, anything you don't want people to find, anything you don't want others to have access to, because it removes Windows Defender, which means if I go over to Task Manager, which is easy to bring up, I was going to go to the bar, but I don't need to do that. I can just hold these 2 buttons. If we go over to the RAM usage, as you see, just sitting on the desktop, we're already using 63% of our RAM. As soon as it shows. Camera. Trying to get my camera to focus. You guys saw that for a split second. We're using 63% of our RAM just sitting on the desktop because we only have 8 gigs, right? So if I go over to the actual processes tab here, we're using 4.6 out of 7.3, which is very unfortunate. That is a lot of RAM already being used. And that most of that comes from things like Windows Defender and all of the Windows background processes that exist that just take up a lot of space when it comes to RAM. And there's not much you can do about it. You kind of just have to hold that unless you want to download something like Windows 10 Atlas, which takes away a lot of the security features and a lot of the bloat from Windows, but it also makes Windows less safe. If you're using it on a gaming handle, probably fine. Don't use it on your computer. That's really stupid. Just, I don't know, get more RAM, right? This isn't a desktop. You can't easily upgrade the RAM, and that's kind of a shame. If the RAM was easily user upgradable, I think this would be the perfect little device, and I don't even think I would think to upgrade from this to a Steam Deck, right? I would think to upgrade from this to something like a ROG Ally or a Legion Go, right? I would move up to a big, or the MSI Claw. I would think to move up from this to a bigger boy instead of moving up from this to the next device. I think Linux uses less resources. Yeah, it does. So you could easily actually put Holo ISO or Chimera OS on this if you wanted to. The guy that I bought it from was actually testing it with Chimera OS, and he said that it felt smoother and it used less resources, and if I wanted to keep Chimera OS on it. But I told him no, to put the Windows 11, and I'll use Windows 11, and if I decide that Windows 11 just isn't for me, then I will move over to Chimera OS and lose access to my Epic Games library, which is really just Cat Quest 1 and 2, right? Which I do like, and I do play, but I could just buy 3 on Steam, and then I could play Cat Quest 3, and I could also spend more money on Steam and give Gabe Newell my money, and buy Cat Quest 1 and 2 on Steam. I also have Islets, which is a really cool Metroidvania. Now, Who do I think this device is for? Someone who's looking for their first Windows PC and is an indie junkie. If you're an indie junkie or an old game junkie, and the reason why I say that is because if you play things along the lines of old first generation 3D games, this will be great for emulation. I don't really do emulation, so it doesn't matter to me. It doesn't really come up. I don't care. But this thing has the power to do Nintendo 64, PlayStation 1, probably even PS2 and GameCube, no problem. You're going to run Dreamcast, and you're going to run everything before it. It will start to give you problems with PS3 and Xbox 360. Just fair warning. So if you're an indie junkie or an old game junkie, you like a lot of your games on like GOG, you like a lot of the old Valve classics like Half-Life and Portal, this is going to run those great. It may even run Fallout 3. Right? If you're looking for newer 3D games, not going to be for you. If you like old school 2D games, if you like pixel art games, if you like small, lightweight indie games, Bot Vice, Cat Quest, Hades 1 and 2, if you like games like that, this will run those just fine, even on Windows, no problem. You can also allow yourself to download some Holo ISO or some Chimera OS, and it'll work out even better for you. I really like this thing. I was tinkering with it a little too much, and it made my wife mad. So I gotta make sure not to be messing with it too much on days we're supposed to be hanging out and stuff, but I think this device was worth the money. What I got it for at like $220 to $230, I think this is great. If you can find one of these used and you can't find a Steam Deck at that price, get this. If you have a couple more bucks to spend, you have like $300 and you can find a used Steam Deck for $300, I would probably recommend the Steam Deck unless your ultimate goal is size, like you want a really small device and you're not looking for something that uses a lot of power. Because this is going to use less power than a Steam Deck at the lowest wattage. You can go all the way down to 4 watts and it will run lightweight pixel art games just fine. Anything made on Godot will probably work. Don't worry about it. Cat Bait's made on Godot. Perfect example. But for double the price, you could probably find yourself a ROG Ally Z1. You find yourself an MSI Claw, the i5 or the Core Ultra 5 variant probably. So if you're looking for the cheapest way into the PC gaming handheld space, it's probably either this or the Anbernic Win 600. If you need more RAM and you don't know how to solder yourself and do not want to deal with the RMA of having to send this back into a company that's not well known, like Valve, like MSI, like Asus, who's apparently really bad at RMA anyway, then you probably don't want to try to solder on your own RAM and get to 16. You'd probably go with the Win 600 so you can single channel up that, boom, take that RAM slot out with this 8 gigs and put in a 16 or a 32. Or the Loki Zero, which has less power than this, but does have user upgradable RAM. The Loki Zero, also used, can't find it new anymore, has 4 gigs of RAM on board with one SODIMM slot that you can upgrade, giving it either 12, 20, or 36. This device has some issues, but it also has some really cool features, and I actually really like the Odin or the Loki software, the Loki Command Center. I think it's pretty solid. And I think using Steam Big Picture mode for most of my games, and this overlay still coming up, and this overlay also working, I think that's awesome. Oh, there we go. I think that's awesome. I really like this. I don't regret my purchase yet. Maybe at some point I'll try to put Chimera OS on it or Holo ISO and see how it feels as like a miniature Steam Deck instead. But that's been all of my first initial impressions and first thoughts of the AYN Loki Mini Pro summed up. That's been it. Tell me how you guys feel about this device or devices similar to it down in the comment section below. Like the video, subscribe to the channel. If you want to see maybe some indie game testing, if you have any games you would like me to test that are lightweight and cheap, because I gotta buy them myself. No one buys me. I mean, one of my buddies, Creeper, buys me games, but the only games he likes. So if it's not a game that Creeper likes, I'm not gonna get it for free. So if there's any cool games you guys want me to test on this that are lightweight, small, and indie, leave them down in the comment section down below, and maybe I'll do some sort of a benchmarking or game testing video with a few of the games from that list. Anyways, this has been Beanie Thuggish for the YouTubes talking about my first impressions of the AYN Loki Mini Pro. Signing out and saying peace.